Let's read something. All right. I'm curious. Today we're going to take a whole different spin. I know I've been bombarding you with police, community, fixing things, social, wellness and all that good stuff. Let's talk about career choices. Hey, I was looking on Google, the top 15 kids' dream jobs. Okay. Let's take a look at what they're talking about. Okay. And I'm getting this from thebalancecareers.com. Okay, so they took a little survey. Here are some of the tops: dancer, actor, musician, athlete, firefighter. Wow. Okay, all these jobs are awesome. And some of the top things that I mentioned in our community, like acting, rapping, dancing, singing, or athletics, very, very, very common in our community. But what if I just threw in another option through a gentleman that I've watched? I shouldn't say grow up. He was a man since I known him, but just watch him evolve from almost nothing to blowing up to what he is today in the engineering field. What if I could inspire you to do something different? We can do this too. Mentorship moments, each one teach one, and I brought the back up. Let's go.
Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Gonna make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen. Just make it happen.
What's up, everybody? Listen, special show, special friend of mine I've been knowing for a long time. I love superhero origins, and I love watching people evolve into something greater. I just really get a kick out of that, man, because you know what? It keeps me inspired. I know some people, oh, CJ, you're a good mentor or whatever, but you know what? I get mentored when I watch the mentees become mentors themselves, and I even start to grow. So I can't wait to get to our special guest. I think it's going to be very informative as to young minds watching right now. So if you have a young person or you yourself are looking for a career plan and you're good at math and science and things like that, I think this is one you want to listen to. All right. And if you're not, you might get inspired anyway and, change courses here or there. All right. But before we get into that, we have to get into some special shout outs. First of all, shout out to a special sponsor. Now, I'm going to do something a little different because I got a gift in Father's Day that some might laugh, some might think this is badass. But when I salute my shout outs, we're going to put on the hat. Now, it's not the old CJ hat that you guys used to know with the little come here. Here it is, guys. Here it is. All right. Oh, yeah. I got this for Father's Day. And look at the poet is laughing already. All I need is a horse. It is on. All I care about, all I know is that I put it on after my kids and my wife gave this to me, and my wife has been blushing ever since. I'll leave it at that, okay? So darn you if you're laughing at me. This is now my new shout-out house. So in my shout-out segment, we're going to put this on. Now, you can tell me if you like the hat or not. All right, you here? Here we go. All right, let's talk about our sponsor, big sponsor, and a huge thank you to Yolitas Carter, all right? When you need a certified probate and trust real estate specialist, well, that's the one you need to call. If you want a 5-star experience, call my girl Yolitas Carter at 213-804-3369. That's 213-804-3369. Yolitas Carter, she got you. Yeehaw! Thank you so much for being a spotter, Yolitas. I'm going to get her on the show. She's shy, but she's not shy when it comes to mutual realty consultants because she's 5-star, y'all. All right, boom. All right. Second, I tip my hat to you, Yolita Carter. Second, I want to talk about quickly, and I'll mention it. COVID-19 is real, okay? It is not a joke. It is not a myth. It is not a conspiracy theory. I know there's a lot unknown, but I'm not coming at you guys judgmental. I'm coming at you guys because I care. I happen to be a person when COVID first came out. I thought it was the flu just like everybody else. I thought it would go away in the sun just like everybody else. I'm not, but I got educated. And fortunately, I was blessed to know some doctors who I trained that convinced me how real this thing is. And I actually had a stint in the hospital, not for COVID, but this is when COVID-19 was really high. I actually went to the emergency room for something that was going on with me. And all I heard was flatlining signals in the hospital. And the doctor told me, if you need to go to the restroom, do not go past those curtains. Those are people dying of COVID-19. And if you have it up, Poetess put it up, but I want to hip you guys. Oh, yes. Yeah, I even mentioned it. I love you, Poetess. The Black Health Trust. You know, every Sunday, if you go, just Google it, Black Health Trust. I put my face on there because I was so proud to be a part of it. Every Sunday, they are talking about COVID-19. And they're not just any doctor. These are familiar faces that you know from the community, right? These are doctors from across the country that are educating on COVID. This Delta virus is no joke. So I plead with you. I'm not ordering you. Guys, I'm pleading with you to continue to do your research if you're afraid. But I plead with you to get the vaccine. I got the shot. The shot I got was the Moderna. I felt groggy at night, fell asleep. For me, that's what happened to me. Others get body aches, others feel, but it only lasts for like a day and a half. My wife had it, you know, and she was feeling real bad. I thought I would have had to take her to the hospital, but after a day and a half, she was fine. But listen, you judge your own health. But we're going backwards, y'all. I said, y'all, I got this hat on. And with all this technology and information out there, listen, real information, we need to promote getting ourselves back so these doors are open for the rest of our time here. For God's sake, make the best decision for your family. I'd hate to lose a loved one after I talk to them about it, after there's knowledge. Not to this guy. So shouts out to the Black Health Trust. I tip my hat to you. I mention you guys every week because you're a resource in the community, all right? You serve us well, all right? Cool. Now I have to say goodbye, okay? And not necessarily a goodbye like I'll never see this person forever. This is Zoom, the days of Zoom. I can still kick her butt doing Zoom. And she was also a guest on the show, YVONNE, you know, and her husband was on the show not years ago, in February when we talked about love and relationships. I want to play a little segment of YVONNE in the middle of her training because I want you guys to get you to understand what the real meaning of fitness is. It's not about the vanity. This is a lady that tried to get it together after having a few kids and life happened. And then she wanted to transform her life and she spent time with CJ. And I developed not just a personal friend, a spiritual friend. You know, I call her one of my guardian prayer angels. YVONNE, I'm going to miss you. We're going to play a little clip, you know, and you're not gone forever because we can go virtually, but you're moving out of California. You know, God bless you and your family wherever you go. Shouts out to you. So here is a tribute to YVONNE. YVONNE, take it away, Poetess. Hey, First Lady.
Yeah, so I was telling CJ that I'm so grateful and so encouraged because prior to me really training with CJ, like honestly, I was looking for the easy way out. Like I wasn't satisfied with my weight, my legs were rubbed together. I was so discouraged even about myself, about my value, you know, and I know it's not just physical, but it was discouraging because I kept hitting peaks, like I wasn't having any results. And so I was telling him, you know, I was seeing another client that he was training, Julie, and she was just transforming like right before
What's up, Julie Rue?
Hey girl, you encouraged me, you inspired me. You know, and I was seeing her transforming right before my eyes, and I was like, you know what, I've been training with CJ for years, and when I was consistent, I was getting cool results, but I wasn't giving enough to what I wanted to do with my own body. And so I was like, you know what, I just need to do it. I need to make the sacrifice, the financial sacrifice. I want to be in the best physical and spiritual shape of my life, and I was like, I want to do this. And so that I hit up CJ, I was like, I'm ready to train. And it's probably been 4 months. I've lost from 14 to 15 pounds, maybe more now. My legs aren't rubbing together. I feel so amazing. I'm so
She's
grateful.
gained a lot of muscle, lots of muscle.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
I was telling CJ, I don't want to bulk up, be all bulky, you know what I'm saying? Because I have the ability to do that. I just want to lose weight and be lean. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm so grateful to be in this dispensation with CJ because God answers prayers. And this was a prayer to me, and I'm so thankful. So I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share. You don't have to go the easy way. You don't have to get surgery. All you have to do is put in the work. Put in the work, take the sacrifice, the financial sacrifice, whatever you need to do, and you will get the results. You will get it.
Wow.
And keep going, keep praying, keep pushing.
Lady YVONNE, I call her First Lady YVONNE. You've been inspirational to me, even though you feel like I've been inspirational to you. Your family has been inspirational. You are a God's vessel. And I want you to have a safe trip wherever you go and keep fitness in mind. Never forget the lessons learned. And of course, I will see you on Zoom. Yeehaw! All right. So shouts that have been had. If you like the hat, let us know. Hey, if you want to call in about today's show, you can call in at 323-815-4204 for our guest today. That's a 323-815-4204. That's how you get in the conversation today. We're going to inspire our youth or our people, youth young in the mind that's trying to change career paths who have certain gifts. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to bring our special guest in. We're going to bring in Mr. Eric Washington. All right, stand by.
Not every day I have the power to fight, but my body needs me. My opponent is high blood pressure. You don't have to be a fighter to feel like one. So let's train.
All right, welcome back. To find out more about fitness with CJ, that's me, CJ's Functional Fitness, you go to www.cjffla.com. That's CJFF as in funky, and I heard the cat meow, .com. Hey, listen, I know how to get you in the best shape of your life. That I know how to do. I have many hats, but I know this is what I'm good at. And we're going to have more CJ segments and testimonials of clients who have lost weight. And it's not about the weight journey. It's about the physical journey. Hey, guys, let's get started. Let's get right to the show. I have a very, very, very special guest. Very special guest. Oh, Poets, I kind of like the meow in the background. That's our audience right there. I like it when I get the standing ovation from the cats. My guest today, man, I'm so old now. He's got to remind me of how long we've known each other. You know, I've known this brother, oh God, maybe since the early 2000s. I was his MMA coach. We were co-trainers. He was one of the guys that showed me how to probably be a good personal trainer. And I was one of the guys that showed him how to do MMA, and the mix, the blend, and the growth, and the bonds, the brotherly bond that never left was just amazing. Why I'm bringing him on the show is, he started out as a trainer, but another gift had blossomed over the year that I think the public needs to know about, and also a pathway for other kids, other people to reach out to him so he can reach back and pull into the career of the engineering field. I know many of us want to be actors, and that's the good stuff. But you know what? You can be just as successful in your mastery in engineering. So I wonder if those out here listening, if you like math, if you have, and it's not even just about engineering, it's about success. So that's the reason you want to call in. I bring nothing but success in here. And there's a formula, there's a grinding formula that I didn't even tell him about. I know he knows through his story. Let me just read his bio. Mr. Eric Washington. He is a software designer, a software systems test engineer, working in the medical device industry. He holds an Associate's of Science degree in mathematics from El Camino College. Yes, I got my degree from there, one of them. A Bachelor of Science degree in computer engineering from California State University, Fullerton. Eric considers himself a STEM, it's not what you think, STEM, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math advocate who loves community engagement. And that, my friend, is huge. He's always been that way. He has held production planning roles in the aerospace industry, and he has many years experience working and volunteering in the nonprofit sector. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Eric credits his success to his continued studies and understands the life-changing importance that STEM education can have on our communities. As we aim to prepare for technology of tomorrow and compete for the careers ahead, one of his latest passion projects, we'll get into later, is called STEMvoodoo.com. Trust me, it's not what you think. We're not talking about stem cell research. We're not talking about that. Or maybe we are. We'll see. It's a free website that helps to facilitate resources and pathways towards STEM interest, education, and career opportunities for the underrepresented communities. In regards to the name STEM voodoo, Eric states electricity and magnesium are, or any other form of STEM, can be considered magic or voodoo to anyone unfamiliar with its concepts. But after those concepts are learned, then it is no longer magic or voodoo. I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my two cats in the audience, poetess, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Eric Washington. And a couple of meows. That's all I got. That's all I got. Eric,
No, it's
man,
it's great.
how are you,
It's
man?
great, CJ.
Let me tell you, first of all, let me say how proud I am of you. We talked about a month ago, and I was like, man, we want to get you on the show. And then stuff happened. I got busy, and I was like, oh my God, I left a show. And I said, oh my God, this was supposed to be Eric's slot. And I finally got you here, brother, man. How are you, first of all?
I'm doing great. I feel great. I'm glad to be here. I want to thank you for the invite. You know, we've known each other for a long time,
Yes, sir.
and you've seen my journey in a lot of different forms. We talked about personal training, we talked about MMA, now on the engineering side. But we've watched each other kind of go into different roles along the way, and I'm just very happy to be here supporting you, and I'm thankful that you're still here supporting me as well, and then that we can share this with a community, and kind of help others out there as well, because we're both on the same mission.
You know it, and my God, it is a never-ending circle of giving. I'd like to remind everybody that I used to have a program called the Fitness Syndicate versus Obesity, where we grabbed like 20 or so people from the community and we trained them at no charge because we wanted to create disciples of wellness. Well, Eric and Julian, what's up, Julian? They were my first two. Oh, we laugh. Eric's laughing because there's so much about him. When him and Julian get together, it's their trip. They donated their time for 12 weeks to help get these people in shape. And they were one of the first to say yes. It's not because of a promotion. It's because, number one, they were my brothers, man. And I love that. And you're right. Watching your evolution, even though we only speak in moments to moments, in a way, and it's almost like a run-on sentence. When we talked and you told me what you were getting into, I was just like, I started thinking back to your humble beginnings. So in the beginning, what I liked about Eric was he wasn't the average community brother, man. I mean, him and Julian, they were different cats. I mean, what I liked about him day one, this is just me, they both talked in complete sentences. And they were, to be so young and so, they were both very articulate and they were both visionaries. And a lot of our community kids, they're so hard and have that hard look. Both of you guys were always happy and up about life. And you guys are, as trainers, as fitness trainers, had diverse clients. So therefore you learn diverse things. You guys are very two different cats, but at the same time, I didn't realize, and the personal training field is not going to get you $1 million. I didn't realize early on how much of a struggle you were going through. So let's talk about superhero origins. What was it like for you at that stage? Because I remember one time, I don't know if you remember, literally you came over to the house and I was like, and I let you take a shower, you were going on a date or something. I was like, wow, it just blew me away. I said, what's going on? Talk about those humble beginnings and where you're at and what led you into the personal training field. But then what inspired you for that aha moment to the next level? People need to know that.
And that's something that I'd like to talk about. For me, growing up, I didn't really have any engineers around me or anybody in the STEM field or, my parents, they love them to death, obviously. My parents are great. And they had really good jobs. I'd say really good jobs, career fields. My dad worked in a refinery, but he did some 12-hour shifts. It was pretty rough for him not to be there during that time. And we also had a lot of cousins stay with us. So we were at times in a house with 2-bedroom house with, multiple people.
Wow.
And this is before the riot. So this is before I guess you could say the Rodney King LA riots. That's showing the age right there.
Ooh.
But coming up pretty much like in my early teens around that time, you can imagine what the area was like. And you can imagine, the type of influences that anybody could have back then. And, we were in a full household, and I was pretty much out of my cousins. My brother had just went to Desert Storm, so he left for the Army. There were some issues that he was going through here in LA, and I pretty much had to take a role of being a protector for my sister and all my female cousins in that landscape at the time.
Wow.
And so it was a little rough back then. But and the influences that I had at that time were not STEM related, were not focused on education. It was more so focused on, all right, just make it through. And make it through was more of like, if you can graduate from high school, we're good. You know what I mean? Like that's the next step. Nobody was thinking about college. Nobody was thinking about any of those things. And it wasn't until later I ended up, kind of getting that aha moment. And the reason I got that aha moment was because it came from being around other individuals who had mentors around them, and seeing individuals who did things outside of what I had been exposed to in LA.
Wow.
During that time. So to give you a little bit later of a scenario, so after the riots happened, my dad owned a cleaner down in LA. So he owned the cleaners off of 83rd and Normandy.
Okay.
And FloJo went to that cleaner. The FloJo's mom went to that cleaners, and it was a staple for the area off 83rd and Normandy. And if everybody remembers, or you can just check the history, the riots actually started off of Florence and Normandy. So unfortunately, a lot of our neighbors probably most likely did contribute to that. But we got up out of there around that time, moved to Torrance. And when I moved to Torrance, before leaving LA, my sister and I were both in magnet programs. And we did our math stuff in order to kind of, how do I say, my sister and I, Wendy, shout out to her, we were, I guess you could say they gave us like the tag of gifted. We just basically did our work, mind our own business, and tried our best to stay out of the gang related stuff.
Let me ask you something, Eric. Who gave you, because your life sounds like a lot like mine. Who gave you that tag? Was it the community?
For as far as like a gifted tag? Or,
yeah.
It was at, the earliest I remember it was at Charles Drew Junior High School.
Wow.
And so we tested in as gifted, but Wendy and I think we just did our work. We just did our work at the time. We didn't really, I don't think I was smarter than anybody. I don't think I was, and this is why I'm such an advocate for public schools too, because I think that, there's a lot of gems in there where people tend to think like, oh, if a person goes to public school, it's just a waste. And it's not like that. It's like those kids needs to be reached, because my sister and I both, I felt we could have been on the path that we eventually got on earlier had we had the proper mentorship, counselors, attentive counselors coming to us, telling us things such as, I'll just, skip ahead to high school. I remember junior year was the first time, end of junior year, beginning of senior year was the first time I went into the counselor's office and the career counselor's office. And they were talking to me about college. That was the first time anybody had mentioned anything about college.
Wow.
And I didn't know the difference between Cal States and UCs. But meanwhile, and I skipped a little bit ahead there, but this was at Torrance, because we eventually moved to Torrance after the riots. The cleaners that my dad owned at the time, it burned down. Luckily, he got out of the area before it burned down, as far as shut the cleaners down. We were gone. So the building burned down, not the business. I just want to be clear with that.
Right.
But but we went over to Torrance, and where I had any I say desire to learn, to progress, dive into STEM, it died out in Torrance. And it died out in Torrance because a big part of it was just adjustment during that time too.
And what were some of those adjustments?
Adjustments because I was in a position where, now I went from a position where I didn't know I was a minority to going to a position where now I was a minority, and I was able to realize it.
Whoa. Let me slow down with that one, because that one's huge. Was that the first time you said you understood what minority meant? Because before I let you answer that, my new thought process has evolved. I hate that word, and I hate it because when people say that to me, how dare you tell me I'm minor? That's just how I feel now. So I know you feel the same way. So expound on that. That's the first time you realized you were like different?
No. It's one of those things where you always know you're different. You always know you're different.
Okay.
You can grow up anywhere and you're different from anybody. And that goes for anybody. It doesn't matter if, whatever anybody's ethnicity is or whatnot. But the first time I lived in a place, lived in a place where I actually, because mind you, growing up off of 83rd in Normandy during that time, I'd say there was not as many Hispanics over there as there were now.
Right.
The only Asian kids that I never knew an Asian kid, never met any Asian kids.
Wow.
And I knew a couple of Asian store owners, and Wendy and Chuck, shout out to them too. Went over there every day. But, there was somewhat of a culture shock going to Torrance.
Okay.
Because when I went to Torrance, it was like, okay, well, this is something that, in my mind, as a teenager, I'm like, this is something that I see on TV. This is like this is a representation of what a high school experience or what a middle school experience looks like from what I see portrayed on TV.
Wow.
But prior to that, I never had that. So when I got there, the only thing that I could relay or think about for that particular time was like, okay, well, how am I supposed to interact in this world? And if I went to interact in this world, I may have to interact in a way that, is only from what I see on TV. Like, what are these kids like? I don't know. Or what are these kids like? I don't know. What do they like to go to different parties? Do they like to, things of that nature? Like, what type of sports do they play? What common thread can we find that we can get on to where, I can potentially make friends here.
And Eric, that's one of the things that if I could put it to words, that was it. You got thrown into a whole new diverse background, and you, I guess we could say, assimilated and not changing yourself, because you're very confident. You know who you are. That's what I love about you. But it seemed like you had to make some adjustments to some new exposures. And maybe that's why I was like, man, why are these cats so different? Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. Because I will say like this, it wasn't an easy transition. It was kind of bumpy because, anywhere, and as far as like when you run into a lot of people, there's always going to be different frames of, people with different opinions, different thoughts, different outlooks on life. So there's going to be people. And at that time, there were people that were welcoming with open arms. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys came, me and my sister at the time, I can't believe you guys came from that area, because LA was still burning.
Oh yeah.
So, they say, I can't believe you guys came from that area, and, welcome here, do you want to come over for dinner? You want this, you want that? There's going to be that. And there was that, but there was also I can't believe they're moving in closer here. Because you think about that time frame, it's like, oh, well, LA, this part of LA is going to be burning. So, that's not a slight against anybody or anyone, but it's just my verbal hopefully give you a mental picture of what that childhood was like. Wow. So seeing certain things in LA, then coming over hoping for a better outcome in Torrance, and then just having to adapt based off of limited knowledge and information about the area, and just trying not to feed into, or trying not to only listen to the negatives, but just trying to decipher all this as a kid.
Wow.
But the reason I say it killed me in STEM was because I focused so much on assimilating. I focused so much on, trying to, fit in, and also trying to fit in and defend myself in certain situations, that I kind of lost sight of education part of it. And when I say that is because, going back to the previous statement I made when I said my sister and I were both magnet students in LA, the minute we get over to Torrance, we were put down a grade. So, and I think the speculation was that the school at that time, that it wasn't a California distinguished school,
Mm-hmm.
or something to that effect too. But I didn't put up a fuss. And I didn't think it was a big issue. But now that I think about it as I'm older, I really should have, or, I feel like that definitely did not help me in regards to trying to move forward with my education.
You know what I love? You know what I love about what's happening when I'm looking at your face, processing it's like you're really processing like where you could have been, would have been, but you're here. I've had that same, I know I've had that. I've been there. I've sat back and I could be talking and at the same time reflecting while I'm talking, man, I could have did this. I should have did this. Is that what's going on when I see that face?
Yeah, and a big part of it too is just also, me just trying to concentrate so that I can get the proper wording right. And as far as like getting the proper message out, because I want to make sure that I give my honest truth about this.
I love it. Brother, I know. I totally love the processing everything, because I'm learning even more about you, man. This is crazy, man. And we've never had this conversation. So I'm like, wow, I'm getting to know an Eric side that I never knew, right? So so we fast forward. So let's fast forward just a little bit. But if we need to go back to tie the dots, I want you to, because somebody needs to hear this type of message, man, because we've all kind of ran through the same thing. And some of us gave into anger.
Yeah.
Some of us gave into the streets. Some of us tried to keep it like too real, or wear a face. I don't even know what that means. But you seem to have kept the high road. So you started like in math and all that stuff, because you had to simulate, it just kind of like fell to the wash. I mean, what happened after that? College, and then you ended up being a fitness trainer. I mean, that gift magnet program, now fitness trainer. Not to say that that's less than, because you're brilliant. Talk about that phase in life.
Well, I'll say this, Cleon. I had, going from, I guess, that junior high experience to high school, truth be told, I almost didn't graduate. I almost didn't graduate. Things just, the motivation wasn't there. The people that I was hanging around with, no slight against them, but they had issues too, as far as like I'll say family issues. Some of them were raised in gangs, and that type of culture where even if they weren't gang members, or even if they didn't want to be gang members, or even if they were not, about that lifestyle, you can't help who your uncle, dad is, your uncle is, your dad is, your aunt is, and if that's the MO of the family, then that's just the way it is. So, and sometimes when you link up with people that you can relate to that may have come from the same areas that you come from, and they're in this new area now, then those are the people that tend to, you may gravitate. I don't want to say tend to, but you may gravitate towards, because those individuals, you can easily find more of a common denominator with, as far as like, oh, okay, well, you lived in LA, I lived in LA. And,
right.
I knew this area, that area. So, but going back to your what you were saying in your question, Cleon, so barely graduated high school, and I thought I need to do something. I need to do something. I got through, but barely, like right on the credits. But I needed to do something, and I ended up working at In-N-Out Burger. Loved that job, and then I ended up saying, you know what, because I always had a work ethic. So even when I wasn't doing great in school, I was actually trying to invent little things on my own. I was trying to put together little stuff, invent workout machines, because I was always working out. So I was always looking at the schematics for workout machines and trying to invent that kind of stuff. So eventually, when I got certified, and I was a scrawny kid, so I don't think a lot of people took me seriously when I first wanted to be a personal trainer. So I went to our buddy Apollo, and Apollo, and I asked him about
yes,
being,
sir.
yeah. And I asked him, and he said, Eric, you know what, man? He said, I'll see what I can do to hire you if you come back and get certified. I said, okay, if I get certified, ran out, got certified, came back. But the transition to STEM, because that's what I really want to go into. The transition to STEM came when my sister had her kids, because when she had her kids, I don't have kids at the moment, and eventually I believe I will. My fiance and I will. But when my sister had her kids, it was a realization, because I told my cousin who passed away, my cousin Linda, love her to death. She passed away, but I told her, I said, Linda, I'm going to go back to school. But she kept telling me, Eric, go back to school. It was like she knew I was just wasting my time. She knew what I was capable of, and she believed in me. And I said, Linda, I'm gonna go back to school. And so one thing was a promise to her. It was to better myself. But the thing that really got it going was when my sister had her kids, my nephew Judah and my niece Eden. Because when they were born, my sister and I are both first generation college graduates. So I remember growing up thinking, everybody was saying, oh, well, you should go to school, and you should do this and you should do that. And it's like, I would tell them, oh, well, you didn't go and you made it. But see, what I didn't realize or didn't understand was I didn't understand the difference between living and surviving.
Ooh.
Yeah. So what I was doing was I was equating them to be the ssame thing. So everybody that was telling me, for my own good, you go to school, I'm thinking, oh, well, you're good, you're doing fine, you made it, you're not living on the street, not knowing that everybody, was or unaware or ignorant that everybody was paycheck to paycheck, and it wasn't a lifestyle. It wasn't a lifestyle. It was literally just surviving.
You didn't know whether it was good or bad. It was just
didn't know.
And isn't that the plight of many of us in the communities? This is why I get mad when people try to stereotype us, not in an angry racial kind of way, but man, a lot of times it's our environment. Like I had two parents, like you had two parents. I was well taken care of, but like you, everybody in my environment, hey, I had a gangbanger in the family. You just said it. And that's a hard road to climb in itself, and for you to come out and make that choice and to do better. And I think that was around the time where you made that choice where I hadn't heard from you in a while. I hadn't heard from you at all. I would ask every now and then, but I was busy also. Very interesting. So science, STEM, getting back to school, what was the transition like? What was the feeling like? And then I want to get into some of your program and your community program.
Okay, but one quick thing.
Go for it.
I already mentioned Eden and Judah, my niece and nephew, and I don't want to trail off into a tangent, but they were the main reason. They were not the I shouldn't say the main reason, the big reason, because I needed them to see me do it, and my sister, I think she needed them to see her do it too. So it came from both of us, because it's one thing to hear people say it, but they didn't have anybody else in their lives, and that I shouldn't say that. we knew that we know they needed to see some people, close relatives in their inner circle that at least attempted, finished college, and moved on to a different lifestyle. So I'll say that.
No, that's important to say, because you, like me, there was a point in time I didn't just make change for myself. I put the cloak of responsibility on my back and success for other people to see around me. Is that fair enough? Fair to say?
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Man, and I know that can be a lot of pressure, but it's not so much of a pressure, much more than it is a mission and a focus. Did that help you focus and hone in onto where you are at now?
It did, and I it was like a horse with blinders. Once I knew what I wanted to do, because I always had a level of discipline, CJ, as you know, because just showing up to the gym every day and showing up to a job every day, always had a certain level of discipline. So when I finally knew and set it on my mind, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, I just, channeled that discipline into my studies. Wow. And from there on, I didn't even look back. I did not even look back. I mean, it was, man, but I started from the bottom. I'm not ashamed to say it, man. I went back to El Camino. I mean, I started at pre-algebra. I said, you know what, let me do this all over again. Let me study this all over again, because I need to make sure I do this right for myself. So I went all the way up through all the different math channels, went through pre-algebra, geometry, advanced algebra, trigonometry, calculus, pre-calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, discrete mathematics, linear algebra. Like, it went through all that, went through the physics series, and I'm better off for it. I'm thankful I did it, and I'm glad that the outcome is that like this weekend I can actually take my niece and nephew to my new job that's throwing a carnival. They get to go and see what it's like to not only work in the medical device industry, but also see what the benefits of an engineering career. So they can ask questions and open their mind. They can see what thing. Hopefully, I can't get them into the clean rooms and things, so they can actually see like the process of some of the devices being made. But just something to kind of open their minds up for things of the future. Because I can't tell you how much I wish, even if it hadn't been medical devices, if there was something I knew of other than a career, like I didn't know the difference between an engineer and an electrician. They both started with an E. Wow. I honestly didn't know. Wow. So it's just, I'm grateful and thankful.
Well, this is amazing. We're going to go on a quick commercial break. We're going to go into like my book commercial. And then when we come back, I want to talk about what you're doing now to give back. Eric, this is an amazing story, and our kids need to hear this, because there is a way out if you choose to make it happen. All right, this is Navigating Through the Valleys of Success, a perspective in the thick of it, or a perspective in perseverance. Take a look, and then we'll finish out with some more inspiration, man. Thank you so much, Eric.
I tried to be secular about this book, but I can't. Something's working within me.
CJ was already an incredible person, and then he wrote a book.
I turned to God as a person that stopped believing. So you will meet me there, and if not, you will see the works that help me get there.
If you want to know how to change and learn how to change from the inside out, you read this book.
Money is a real thing. It's a part of it. But what I show in the book, and I'm telling my young people out there, I'm walking you through business. This is a real business lecture 101. It's not the green that's going to keep you sustained. It's your influence. How well do you impart influence and love in people? How do I make you rich by a conversation we've had?
It's going to help you no matter what situation, no matter what trials or tribulations you're going through. it's going to give you that ammo that you need.
Watch God grow inside of me. Watch him show me why this went wrong to get to right. To him to say, you know what, God? I needed the tragedy too. I needed to feel loss. I needed to feel grief. I needed to feel let down. And thank God you've got me where I'm at in my marriage, with my kids, with my family, so I can see the blessings and I can tell somebody else how all those things I went through in the past got me where I'm at today.
You can get through anything if you just keep the faith and walk through that valley and don't give up. Don't turn back, don't look back, just keep looking forward, and the goal is right there. You just have to keep pushing forward.
Keep your brains in your head, keep your heart in your chest, and keep your pee-pee in your pants. And that's it.
That's great advice.
This will stay in your hearts for the rest of your life, and it will conquer the demons that lie in your mind.
Boom. Guys, you can get this on Amazon. You can go to my website and get it at the CJ store. I'll send you an autographed copy. This is Perspective and Perseverance, same book, just picked up by Brookstone. This is the independent version with little photos of my success story. I especially brought this out because, Eric, you know you're in the credits. You're in my thank you, you and Julian. I don't know if you know it or not. So,
man,
I've had you guys. I'm so proud of you guys and what I learned watching you guys. You're definitely in my thank you credits. So definitely I'll have a book waiting for you. You just disappeared for a while, bro, but we're back, right? You know,
I'm honored.
I want to talk about, now let's talk about how you give back. Talk to me about STEM, the acronym, because when we say STEM, people are, oh, stem cell. Oh, are we talking about that or is it an acronym? Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, STEM, the acronym, and when I say I'm an advocate of science, technology, engineering, and math, and especially for our communities, because I think that there's going to be obviously like some emerging technologies over the next, couple of years, a few years. They're already happening. So there's going to be emerging technologies that I think STEM careers can lead to, a STEM education can lead to lucrative careers that a lot of people may not even know about. A lot of people may not even realize that they exist, or they may not realize that a path in STEM can prepare you for a career that doesn't even exist yet. So when that next generation of nanotech comes out, when that next generation of quantum computers, the first generation of quantum computers, but, when we're looking at 6G as opposed to 5G, things of that nature. So I want to make sure as a STEM advocate that people are not being shut out of these opportunities. So that's where I begin with that.
So I'm going through the site and I'm even looking at some of the photos. These are people I'm looking at, and this is just the way I'm looking at it, that have never been exposed, getting exposed. And you even talking about guiding them through things like scholarship opportunities. Man, talk about that, because there's got to be some mom at home with her son like, my baby's smart. We got to do something.
Well, here's the thing too, like you don't know what you don't know, and that's the problem, So for me, I used to work at the YMCA, and I'll shout out the YMCA because I didn't know what I didn't know until I went into the YMCA. I went there to go train, but then I kind of fell in love with the place because I ended up working through the community. But as I worked with the community, I learned a lot of things from people that came into the Y, because I was also learning myself. Mm-hmm. So I would also hear about the parents that brought their kids into the Y organizations, youth and government. They brought them in there for different types of tutoring, getting them prepared for college. So there were just certain things that I didn't know about that I thought to myself when I was there, like, oh man, look at all the stuff I was missing. But by this time I felt like, okay, I'm a little older. I can't take part of this. But so on to the scholarships. The scholarships that I talk about on the site are scholarships that, may be highlighted from NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers. So I didn't even know NSBE existed until I said one day I'm gonna go and become an engineer, and then it was like, oh, well, there's an organization that's. I was like, oh, this is good to know. So now I can go and I can apply for a scholarship. I didn't know about these different NSBE conferences. So it's not just for me, and it's not just for a person that's a Black person, white person, Asian person. I made sure that I looked around and I said, you know what, I came from. Oh well, no, I don't. I'll say this: I would be considered an underrepresented minority in STEM.
Mm-hmm.
So there are other underrepresented minorities in STEM too. They need the message just as much as I need the message.
Wow.
Because each one teach one. Everybody helps each other. So I said, okay, well, now let me look up these other organizations. Let me give a shout out to them and their scholarship opportunities. So I went on ahead, made sure that condense all this information for all these different scholarship opportunities in regards to I say there's so many organizations. I have to pull them up to look at them because I took so much time in putting this together, but they're on the site. And it also talks about scholarship opportunity at some of the major tech companies that people may not know about, because even Facebook will offer scholarship opportunity. You name Google offers scholarship opportunity. And a lot of these companies offer scholarship opportunities for underrepresented minorities in STEM or with STEM majors. So it's just worth looking at. And it's like I said, if you want to prepare for the jobs of tomorrow, these are the places where you need to be looking in regards to STEM, because you got to think about the companies that's going to be leading the way in innovation and technology. And whether you align yourself with that particular company or not, you may want to see how that technology is going to shape your future. And then based off of that, then you can say, okay, well, if blockchain is going to be the next big thing that's going to run on the back of cryptocurrencies, maybe I should learn more about blockchain. Wow. Okay. Or maybe if let's say, nanotechnology is going to have us turning our Samsung phones into these flip phones to where we can almost ball them up into a ball and roll them and put them in our pocket, then maybe I want to know about nanotechnology. Or maybe if the biggest thing is, let's say, quantum computing, and let's say as a quantum computer, it's going to be very advantageous for any government agency to learn quantum computing first, because the implications of national security. So think about things like that, because you could be very valuable in the government sector.
Wow.
For something like that. So it's avenues. It's just hoping to open up a door and avenues for people that are not aware those doors exist. And by the time they find out about them, hopefully they're not shut out because of, by that time they're, they feel like they missed their opportunity. They, for whatever reason, or, or life took them in a different direction. So like it could have easily taken me. I
want to give them the website, www.stemvoodoo.com. That's www.stemvoodoo.com. So there's something that you said about 3.5 minutes ago, where you literally said that when you called your dream out, things started opening up, the path started opening up to you. Well, you called out that you want to be an engineer. All of a sudden someone said, hey, the National Black, engineer, it opened up. This is what I believe, and I hope you feel the same way. Call out your dreams, and the world, that voice will tell you where to go somehow. It come from a whisper of somebody else. It could come from, oh, well, just do this. You could be walking down the street and you called it out and you see a sign that all of a sudden says, hey, engineering.com. If you start to call things out, it avails itself to you. Is that a fair assessment, Eric?
That's a fair assessment, because you know what? Ultimately, that's the first step. That's always the first step. You know, that's, you call it out to yourself, you call it out, you know, put it out there in the universe. And then that's honestly the first step, because you need to believe that you're able to do it and capable of doing it before you can even try to convince other people to do it. Because that's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. You gotta find, it's always good to find motivation other places, but you really need to find that motivation in yourself. And one thing, you know, I tried to, like I said, I tried to do a bunch of other businesses and other projects and other inventions, and some of them didn't work, and some of them it was just like a lesson learned. But
exactly,
the one thing that I did do when I said, okay, I'm gonna start this project, the one thing that I did do, that when I said I'm gonna start this particular project, I always shouted it out to the world. Because here's the thing, I also know that once I put something out there saying, okay, this is what I'm about to do, later on, you know, whether I fail or not, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of failing, but I know that people will keep me on task without even knowing they're keeping me on task. The universe, we can say, will keep me on task without knowing that they'll keep me on task, because now, you know, I could have a down day one day, you know, because I'm not making any money off of STEM Voodoo, and it's not about the money. But I could have a down day one day, and I could say, oh man, I really don't feel like making these posts or doing these posts, but then somebody can come up to me and say, hey Eric, you know, how's STEM Voodoo going? And I'm like, what? Somebody's checking on that. That's helping somebody. So now it's keeping me on task. You know, and I always did that with any type of business or any type of project. It was always put this energy out there, because you know what? The thing that's going to keep me on task is when other people are finding this as a useful resource. They're asking about it. And I know my work ethic and my drive and the thing that motivates me, and that kind of stuff motivates me.
Well, you know, it's funny. There's always going to be two forces, especially growing up in the Black community. When you put something out in the air, you have the haters, and we always talk about, hey, they don't say anything because they're haters. No. You need to put it out there for the lovers, because there's always someone that goes, hey man, did I hear you say one day you were going to be this? Or I know this brother out here that's good. You know, that's how it works, guys. Now, there are some things you need keep your plan to yourself, but put your idea, hold yourself accountable by putting it out there, because that's the only way someone's going to hear it. Closed mouth, a gentleman by the name of Chris told me, shouts out to Chris Griffith, if you're listening, cool. Years ago, he doesn't even know this. He told me a closed mouth never gets fed. And that means so much. Eric, we're at the close of our show. We have got 2 minutes. What would be a life mantra personally that you would have, that you could tell somebody watching right now that's looking to this field?
Okay, I don't want to make anything over cliche or anything, but you know what? Don't quit. Just don't quit. Stay focused, and make sure that you can find discipline within yourself, because you're not going to be motivated by somebody every day. You're going to have to be motivated by yourself. You're going to have to find that discipline within. And I believe that it's there. And I don't want to make it seem like it's a difficult thing, but that's the deal of it. That's the thing of it. It's like rise to the occasion, just like a Nike ad. Just do it. Just do it. You're capable of it.
Brother, if I had more time, I would talk about you and Julian, and they told the worst and best mama jokes, you know, and one day we're going to have just a show about the brothers where I have you guys all in your success at your glory. And we're just going to talk about success to kids, and we're going to have some of this fun banter we had. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I needed to switch it up because I do want to inspire in other ways, not just health and community, social. I wanted to inspire other ways. That's what this show is about. Thank you, Eric, for being on the show. God bless you. We're going to have you on again for another mentorship show for our youth collectively, a big Zoom session I'm planning. I want to hook you up with another guest that I know. His name is Richard Jurgen. He's been on the show. Got to bring my brother Julian back. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This is Mentorship Moments. Each one, teach one. We are the village. I will see you in 2. CJ, out.
Happen.